So a little more about myself, just in case anybody wants to know. I am married. I'm a mother of 4. I am 36 years old, and I started this journey just 4 years ago when I got into my new relationship after 13 years of marriage to my ex. It was a very bad relationship. My kids came from that marriage, and I got out of it about 5 years ago. I remarried a year later to the love of my life, and he is absolutely wonderful to me. He is the reason that I actually ended up getting into trading, working to figure out trading ever since he was 15. That's pretty impressive to me. He's really stuck with this whole idea. It's been off and on a lot for him. He would be on 1 year and then off for a couple and then back on for several months and then off. Due to a lot of turmoil in life and just timing of things, that is really common for pretty much everyone. He introduced it to me when we started dating. I had a job at the time and I was let go. I was kind of panicking for a little bit. I hadn't worked for about 9 years prior to that because I was taking care of and raising my children. So when I returned to the workplace, it was tough for me. I ended up doing amazingly well though. I spent 2 years there moving up the ladder and really feeling that confidence grow inside of me, that I could be a career woman. I could be more than just a mom. I say just a mom in terms of that was the only thing I was doing with my life. Believe me, it is a very crazy experience to be a parent. I spent all my time in my house taking care of my family and trying to perfect that. I feel really, really proud of those years of my life, in spite of the turmoil I was in spite of the difficulty I had in my relationship. I was doing so much for my family. Then when I had this opportunity to rethink my career path, oh my gosh, like I could try this trading thing. I could attempt this. The crazy thing about my considering this is that I am not a numbers person, and math is not my forte. I absolutely was terrified at the idea of trying to figure out a platform. I do not do well with technology. It took me like half an hour to try to tape this today, actually. I was scared to be going into a field that required such different skills than I had ever tried before, but I took that leap. It took me about a year to do all the studying that I wanted to do. I got into a chat room. I started paper trading to understand the market movement. My eventual move to live trading, once I had a few months of green, was pretty beneficial as well, even though I ended up blowing up my first account. And honestly, it was very, very eye-opening. I figured out some of these things that were difficult for me in the process of blowing up my account. My husband was really supportive. He told me that I could stay home with the kids and take care of the home and trade. I did have some wiggle room with some time to dedicate to that. I probably studied, at least 3 hours a day for the first year, which is a significant amount for a mom at home with 4 kids. I was on Profitly and I got banned because I ended up taking a course from Ross Cameron and learning a lot, and I mentioned that. So Tim Sykes banned me because I I was talking about my newfound success with this other way of trading. I learned level 2 there with Ross Cameron, how to read it, and it was one of the most career-changing understandings for me. Obviously, Timothy Sykes couldn't have that. Then I actually made Ross mad because I had been in there for so long based on my understanding of how he traded. I'd be able to enter and exit before he did so that whatever he said in the chat room wouldn't affect my play. Because sometimes I'd be in it for a certain level and he'd decide to get out early or whatever, and it would just drop, and then I wouldn't get where I wanted. So I mentioned that I had figured that out, and I got reprimanded in the chat room for that, along with another person who was talking to me about it. So it's been interesting. I've had a few very fascinating experiences with the culture. The culture is not super encouraging. It's self-serving in a lot of ways. The teachers, that's a huge amount of their income, and so they don't want to have anything said or done that would be a detriment. It kind of creates a censorship. It can be a little alienating, isolating, and I think it's important that we find better ways to create community in this environment. As a woman, I have certainly seen that there's very little encouragement by other women. I originally saw like Airplane Jane. They just weren't my style of trading. It's hard because you can find a few people, but they're not always going to be on point for the way you trade, and so therefore not necessarily beneficial to you personally. Through all of this, I have learned to encourage myself and to be my own trader and to really focus on what makes me the most effective and the most motivated. I've been in many ruts before with trading, and I've had a lot of moments where I didn't want to continue. Sometimes you'll struggle with something and it's totally because of something internally in you only. I know it's nice to be able to say, oh, the market's just not hot. This stock just had like really shady things happening in it, so it's not my fault that I lost at it. But we really need to turn inward and examine if we have something recurring in our trading. Why is that happening? I think one of the coolest side effects of becoming a day trader and going through this journey is that my confidence has been boosted. I feel smart. I feel intelligent. I feel like I can expand my horizons and I can understand myself better than ever. I can dig deep and pull out things that I didn't heal from, and they could all be from my past or from trading itself and the difficulties there. But either way, I'm becoming a better person and I'm growing as someone with power. I have gone on the journey of being a complete wreck. Every time I took a trade, I'd be terrified because it was just so emotionally traumatizing to realize that I could lose money. And then to finally arrive here 4 years later, I have very, very little negative emotion and turmoil around the idea of losing money. And that's fantastic, because if you can accept that this is not a 100% win all the time situation, that you have to take the good with the bad, and you also have to manage those things in order to become successful in terms of profitability, you are learning something extremely beneficial. I've gotten better at falling and getting back up and dusting myself off than ever in my life. If you can calm that It'll benefit you in every other part of your life and your relationships, and you'll be able to do bigger, harder things every day. I want to be really specific and keep my videos short so that they're just encouraging. You can watch them in between your studying. You can, if you need a pick-me-up, it's not going to take you all day. A lot of times you'll end up watching a video for like 50 minutes and you're like, okay, I got nothing out of that except for this one idea that, oh, whatever, the market is different. Well, that's not very helpful. So I'm hoping that I can cover everything really specifically, but also very concisely.